Hi there, welcome back to my sewing room. I'm Kelly, and in today's video, we are going to continue quilting our alphabet to improve our free motion quilting. In the last video, we quilted E's, which you can see that by clicking up here or in the description box below. Today, we're going to start with the letter L. Arguably not that different than the letter E, but I'm going to show you some variations of how we can take the letter L and build upon that to create faux bubbles at first. And then with a few modifications to the faux bubble design, we'll learn all the skills needed to quilt real bubbles and pebbles. So let's get to our machine and get quilting. So back at my machine, I have a free motion foot on, and this is actually a ruler foot. I leave this one on most of the time when I'm doing free motion, as opposed to like an open toe or the hopping foot that came with the machine. And when I quilted the letter E's, I made my E's in this direction using this seam as the line that I was writing my E's on. And then I mirrored them coming back in the other direction. So this time for the letter L, I'm going to reverse that. And I'm going to use this center line to make my L's along the top here, and then I'll do them in reverse coming back. And again, the best place to stop and reposition my hands is at the bottom of the L, right where it intersects. And I'm going to turn this little quilt around to stitch back in the other direction. And for this darker strip, I'm actually going to combine the L's with the E's. And here it is, all stitched out. I really like how the L's and E's combine to make this quilt design in a border. Here you see I've created a simple landscape quilt of an ocean scene. When practicing free motion quilting, I think it's very helpful to quilt on a real project, not just a fat quarter practice piece we've sandwiched together. But I don't really want to invest a lot of time in piecing a quilt to practice the designs. That's why I love creating these small little art quilts. It gives me enough space to quilt out some new designs, and then I can finish it off with some embellishment techniques and have a completed art quilt. Knowing it's a real project helps me take the free motion quilting designs a bit more seriously and plan out where and how I will quilt them, which is exactly the same skills I need to quilt a traditional pieced quilt. But with this little ocean landscape, I don't have a ton of time or money invested, so if I completely mess up the quilting, it's no biggie. We'll take a quick look at the threads I pulled out. I picked any of the blues I had in my stash that would match some of the colors in this water. So I have a selection of 3 different superior threads so fine. This is a glide thread or a fill, and then these 3 are embroidery threads. So I've quilted myself some undulating lines and given myself an area to fill in. And to start with, I'm just going to go in and quilt our letter L. And you can see all I did was adjust the size of each letter L to fill in the defined space. So I've stitched out some more wavy lines and then stitched myself an area that I want to fill in. So the first variation on the letter L I want to show you is a line of L's, but instead of just making them tall, we're going to make them wide as well. We want to make them really round L's. And what that's going to do is give us a faux bubble appearance, where we have a line of bubbles or pebbles, but without any backtracking. And there we have it, a faux looking line of bubbles, or some people call them string of pearls. But we didn't do any backtracking over our circles. We simply just followed the pathway of the letter L, except we made our L's nice and round and bubbly. Okay, and if you're practicing along, then go ahead and quilt out a few rows of those faux bubbles. And then in the next video, we are going to turn our letter L into pebbles and bubbles. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you learned something new and got inspired to go quilt in your sewing room. See you next time.